It is Monday. Welcome to the CBSM Minnesota Daybreaker. It's great to have you with us. Busy weekend full of news, right? Oh, yeah. Beautiful weather, too. We told you things were going to change this week when it comes to weather. Look at this forecast. Yep. A little bit of thunder out there. Did you have I had my window open last night when I was sleeping, and it was windy. It was windy. Might get some thunder around noon today. Temperatures then start falling and falling and falling. Tomorrow is going to be very cold, low 30s. How about some snow? Why not? Let's talk about this. Some good news on this Monday morning. We remain cautious, right? Because, well, it's just a start, but a potential breakthrough in the race for a COVID-19 vaccine. Just this morning, U.S. drugmaker Pfizer says early data signals its vaccine is 90% effective against COVID-19. Pfizer says this follows early testing of tens of thousands of volunteers. Vaccine will be given in 2 doses, 3 weeks apart. Pfizer says it will be applying for emergency use authorization from the FDA as soon as the final data meets safety milestones, which could be in 2 weeks. But no vaccine works unless people are willing to take it. 90% effective is way higher than the threshold that experts were looking for, which was around 50%. So we wanted to know, where are you at on this? Would you take the vaccine if it's approved? Does this 90% number, if it holds up, does that make you feel better or worse or no change? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Hey, I don't want to stir up some conspiracy talk, but do you think it's curious that this announcement comes out on Monday after all that was going on last week? What if this came out last Monday? I'm just saying, the day before the election. You weigh in. I'm just inviting you all to stir it up on Facebook. We'll read some of your comments coming up. And I will say, like, these guys are all motivated by money, right? If you're Pfizer, so their stock is like through the roof today. So I'm sure they would have announced it earlier if they were ready to announce it earlier. President-elect Joe Biden is expected to announce details of his COVID-19 task force today. This morning, we learned that team will include University of Minnesota infectious disease expert Dr. Michael Osterholm. Dr. Osterholm, an expert in tracking the virus worldwide. And there are really, I think I was counting up, there are about a dozen advisors on this task force. So it's not like Osterholm is one of a million people. So he is in a relatively small company. President Trump, by the way, has yet to concede his campaign pursuing legal challenges in several battleground states. COVID-19 is spreading at an unprecedented pace across Minnesota. Department of Health reported another record day on Sunday, nearly 6,000 new cases. And more importantly, the positivity rate is high. It's growing. So we were around 5%. Now we're like 11, 12, so it's getting worse. Today, the state does plan to ramp up testing even more. So the case numbers will go up, but it's that percentage we want to watch. And they're doing this because they want more people to test, to try to figure out what's happening, to try to advise Minnesotans what they should avoid doing to avoid getting the virus. New saliva testing site opening today at the Minneapolis Convention Center. That's where the governor will make his announcement a little later this morning. We'll update you on CBSM Minnesota. President Trump has special Twitter privileges. So you may not realize this. If you tweet something that is, I don't know, an attack or threatening or blatantly false, Twitter could just shut you down. They could lock your account. The president, they don't do that. They put the warning on. Well, when President Trump leaves office on January 20th, assuming he does, Twitter has shared that former leaders do not get the same privileges that current leaders do. So maybe you've seen these labels, seems like 90% of what the president tweeted over the last 3 days has had a label. The claim about fraud is disputed. This is incorrect. This is misleading. So the president will lose his privileges if he leaves office as expected and projected on January 20th. Kind of interesting, right? Okay, let's talk about what should we talk about next? How about this news that broke over the weekend? The woman inside the city council who has really been leading the push to defund Minneapolis police. She says she's not going to run for re-election. Lisa Bender, president of the Minneapolis City Council, represents Ward 10. It's Eat Street, Uptown, Lynn Lake. So during her last 2 terms, the city did raise minimum wage, which she pointed out as one of her achievements, redesigned streets, focused on accessible housing. But the last few months have been marked with citywide economic hardships from the pandemic, a crime increase, civil unrest after the death of George Floyd. She hasn't had any luck dismantling or defunding the police department, as the council has sort of backed down. The mayor, Jacob Fry, never supported the idea as presented by the city council. So Bender's term ends next year. Longtime Jeopardy host Alex Trebek has died after a public and frankly an inspiring 2-year battle with pancreatic cancer. He was 80 years old. Hosted that game show for more than 30 years. Jeopardy's executive producer says Trebek's last day on the lot recording the show was October 29th, just 11 days ago. But they've recorded enough episodes. Trebek will be with us on TV through Christmas. Oprah's annual list of favorite things is back just in time for the holiday shopping season to begin this year. Oprah puts a spotlight on Black-owned and run businesses. 72 different things on the Oprah list. Some of the highlights include handbags, jewelry, outdoor TV that's built to withstand rain and snow. Since we're all spending more time outdoors, the whole list is on Oprah's website. How about this Minnesota hunter who goes out looking for deer this weekend, and he sees it. He bags a buck in East Bethel, but while he was tracking it, he found this. This is Corey Klosik. Sees a 3-foot-long alligator in front of him. Calls the game warden. It's like, hey, DNR. I got a gator. I got a gator right in my sight. Can I take him? Can I take him? Can I shoot him? Can I shoot him? And they said yes. And nobody knows exactly what the gator was doing there.
And I'm still speechless about the entire thing. It was absolutely, it's so surreal to me. I still think that it was somebody playing a trick on me, because this isn't something that happens to some little hunter from Minnesota.
Right? No doubt about it. Can you imagine that phone call to the DNR? You see a what? A gator? Shoot it. Klosik brought the deer and the gator home. Says he plans to have them mounted together. Cool. Great story. Sorry, gator. What are you going to do? Let's talk about vaccines. That is the breaking news this morning from Pfizer, that their vaccine is doing remarkably well in clinical trials, 90% effective. I tell you, I'd take it. I mean, why not? 90% effective, no side effects or safety concerns. Let's go. Believe me, the sooner we can try to get our society back to normal, I'm down. So let's see what you guys have to say. Here's Nancy, who says, yes, I'd take the vaccine. 90% is a good bet. That's more effective than the flu shot. And I always get the flu shot. Got that this year. Thanks, Nancy. Judy says, no, vaccines need years of study. Some people will feel that way. Tanya says, not for my family. And the problem is, and we have to educate people as a society. That was something that was in the 60 Minutes story last night, that if people don't take the vaccine, shame on us as a society for, on the one hand, not listening to science, and on the other, not doing a good job communicating it, right? Tamara says, I'll gratefully take that vaccine. I'll continue to mask until the majority of the population has as well. Yeah, all the experts are saying the mask is more protective than a vaccine right now, for sure, right? Like, we don't have one ready to go yet, so got to keep wearing that mask. Maggie May says, if the FDA approves it, then yes. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You want the safety check to be done. Look, none of these companies want to distribute a bunch of dangerous vaccines. Like, that's not going to be any good. So let's hope the good news continues as far as this goes. It is early, so it's preliminary, but start to think about vaccinating and what it would take to get you over the finish line. Before you just say no, think about, like, what information could convince me And not like, oh, they got to study it for 17 years, but like think about what it might take, and then at least you have a place to start from. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the CBSM Minnesota Daybreaker. We really appreciate you trusting us and spending time here for your digital news update. We'll be back here tomorrow. I know you will too.